Greetings everyone, this is Jed Schlackman. In this video I'll be speaking about working as a healing practitioner of any kind and connecting with your patients or clients in a way that's most likely to benefit or support them in their healing process. It's important to consider the beliefs, the motivation, the receptivity of a person to what you have to share or offer. We might have some very powerful or valuable remedies or techniques that we feel can help other people, but in order for it to help another person, that person would have to be willing to come to us, to receive that, to be open to that. In many cases it would involve their participation or ongoing commitment, so their motivation to participate or to apply a remedy that's offered or given to them. So no matter how good or valuable what you have to share or offer is, if that person you're connecting with is not ready to receive that, if they're not open or willing or motivated, whatever the case may be, it's actually not likely to help them or benefit them. You'll notice that there are people who have some type of treatment or remedy that they offer, promote, and they may say it's, let's say, 95 or 100% effective. Well, it might be that effective in the people who actually end up following through with fully receiving and using it, but it's not that effective really for the population as a whole. It's important to consider that every healing interaction involves both the practitioner, the provider, and the patient or client that's receiving. And there's the consciousness of those two beings that are connecting, and either there's a resonance or there's not a resonance, in which case there's a resistance or rejection perhaps. So as a facilitator of healing, you want to create the greatest likelihood of that resonance occurring, of that receptivity, to enable that person to benefit. One way to approach this is to have a clear communication and to gauge where that person is at in their consciousness when they are coming to you, so you can find out about what healing remedies a person has already tried, what they might have already decided is not helpful for them, what they believe could be helpful for them, whether they have a bias per se toward any form of healing or against any form of healing. There are people who are very biased toward natural remedies. There are also people that are very biased toward pharmaceutical medicine, who may believe that natural remedies are somehow less effective, less well established, that they're somehow weaker than pharmaceutical drugs. There are some people that are very biased toward physical level remedies, so they'll be applying vitamins and minerals, herbs, medications, particular dietary recommendations. They're interested in or willing to try those approaches, but they might be resistant to working with things more on an energetic or emotional or psychological level. It might not even be that they don't believe in those things, but they're not willing to open themselves up to explore and process that aspect of themselves. They're more at ease or familiar or comfortable with doing physical level treatments, and the emotional or psychological aspect is not their comfort zone. so they would tend to be a little more resistant to that. And if you're a healing provider and you feel that's what they actually really need to address or dig into for their healing, and they're not ready or open for that, you may not really be able to help them much. So you might choose to start out with some remedy that they're more comfortable with, something they're more open to, and then over time, as they build a connection or a rapport with you, you might introduce or suggest that these are some other things in addition that might be helpful, and you can see at that point if they're ready or open to try these additional remedies or healing techniques. It's also possible to provide some education in the beginning to teach about some of the approaches that you offer or that you provide to kind of help build up a belief or motivation in your patient or your client if they didn't have that to begin with. So people are not necessarily stuck where they're at in their consciousness when they come to you. You can help plant some seeds and water those ideas per se to help them build some motivation or interest in trying some other approaches. But you want to be sure not to be pushing things too hard at the beginning if they're not open or they're not receptive at that point. It might take some time to help people open up and become more receptive to trying things out that they might not have previously considered or have much knowledge about. We need to consider the reality that not everyone has that much knowledge about different healing practices and approaches. So you might know an awful lot about certain things since you studied that. That's what you're familiar with. That's what you went to school or went to workshops for. So you have knowledge, and it's very solid in your consciousness that those things can and will benefit many people. But the person coming to you, they might not be there at that level of awareness of these remedies or modalities or strength of belief in them, since they might not have tried it before, they might not know anyone else who uses those approaches, so they don't really have a reference point to build their confidence and trust for them to want to try it out. So these are all things to consider as you're creating or building up that resonance between what you would like to share to benefit someone and their receptivity, their belief in it, their openness or motivation to proceed with those therapies. It's also valuable to consider that people have had interactions with other healthcare providers that may have disappointed them. So they may have interacted with someone who was not that competent at a particular modality or treatment. So even though it might be something you're confident is beneficial, they might have had an unpleasant or unsatisfactory experience with that. So they have that prior history influencing their beliefs and expectations. And there are also many people out there advertising and promoting different approaches or modalities, and sometimes things are kind of overhyped or exaggerated in terms of what they're likely to provide or accomplish, of what outcome would be expected. So you want to be able to communicate and get a sense of what beliefs or expectations a person has when they're coming for therapy. And you want to sort of create a balance of positive belief and expectation with an understanding that every person is unique. Not everyone will have the same result. And if you don't get that immediate result you want right away, that doesn't necessarily mean this isn't something beneficial or something that could still provide some significant benefit if you continue further and work with it some more. Those of us who are healing practitioners are constantly gauging or measuring where people are at in terms of what they desire to gain from coming for therapy, of what they're open to, what they're willing to explore or try as treatments and remedies. And it is a challenging process to navigate or negotiate. So you're not always going to be accurate or on the mark per se in how you're perceiving another person and what you understand about where they're coming from. So if things don't gel or don't turn out well, you kind of want to reflect on that and not judge or criticize yourself or judge or criticize that particular client of yours, but just try to understand a little more about how things unfolded, if there is any way that you could improve the way you're connecting with your clients or patients, and then just moving on, not getting caught up in ruminating about it or regretting anything. Everything is a learning experience. We're all continuing to refine our skills, whether it's our interpersonal skills connecting with other people, or our skills at identifying what could be beneficial for a person and carrying out whatever approach or remedy that we are able to provide for people. I hope that this brief discussion has given you some things to consider or reflect upon, and it can help you in some manner as you prepare or proceed to go further in interacting with the public and sharing things that can help them in whatever healing process that they are seeking out or ready to take in for themselves. For those that are interested in holistic health and wellness, in spirituality and personal growth, I invite you to visit my website, phinsights.com. That's phinsights.com. For now, I would like to wish everyone a wonderful day. Namaste.